Have you ever noticed how your mind can zoom in on one small problem and ignore everything else going right in your life? You could have 100 blessings surrounding you, but one tiny issue can hijack your thoughts, drain your peace, and dominate your entire day. It's not because you're negative or dramatic or weak. It's because the human brain is wired deeply, biologically, to love problems more than solutions. And once you understand this wiring, you start seeing your reactions, your emotions, and your daily stress in a completely new way. Understand why your brain does this? You have to imagine the world your ancestors lived in. A world with no safety, no warnings, no phones, no medicine, no room for mistakes. Back then, failing to notice one tiny threat could mean the end of everything. So the human brain evolved with one mission: scan for danger, detect problems, and overreact if needed. This survival instinct built the foundations of the modern mind. The brain's #1 priority was never happiness. It was survival. And survival requires fear, caution, and problem sensitivity. Inside your brain lives a structure called the amygdala, the threat detection alarm system. It constantly monitors your environment for anything that might go wrong. A twist? It reacts 3 times faster to a negative event than to a positive one. That's why one argument can affect your mood more than 10 compliments. Your brain isn't trying to ruin your life. It's trying to keep you alive, following rules written thousands of years before your modern life even existed. This creates what scientists call the negativity bias. It's the reason you replay a small insult but forget the many nice things people said. Why bad news feels heavier than good news feels uplifting. Your brain treats every potential problem like a possible threat, even when the threat is emotional, social, or completely harmless. The brain doesn't care. To it, a disapproving look, a delayed text, or a financial worry need urgent attention. So the brain locks onto it, amplifies it, and makes sure you don't forget. Now here's where the problem becomes even bigger. The human brain gets a chemical reward, dopamine, not only when solving problems, but also when searching for them. That means your brain can literally enjoy the hunt for what's wrong more than the satisfaction of fixing it. This is why some people can't relax unless they're stressed. It's why you might overthink, imagine worst-case scenarios, or scan every situation for what could go wrong. To the brain, a problem-free environment feels suspicious. It feels unnatural. Modern life makes this wiring clash even harder. Our ancestors encountered maybe 5 or 10 real threats a week. You encounter hundreds of artificial ones every single day. Notifications, deadlines, arguments, expectations, social comparisons, news, financial pressure, digital distractions. The brain can't tell which ones are real, so it treats them all like threats and never turns off. This is how the survival instinct becomes anxiety. The problem detector becomes the problem creator. Another reason your brain loves problems is something called solution blindness. When the brain detects a threat, it becomes tunnel-visioned. Its job is not to find peace, it's to look for danger. That's why you might struggle to think clearly during stress. The logical part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, slows down. Meanwhile, the emotional brain takes over, creating loops of worry, replaying scenarios, analyzing tiny details, and imagining outcomes that most likely will never happen. This isn't a glitch. It's a design feature inherited from people who survived by being overly cautious. Over time, this wiring turns into habits. Some people unintentionally start looking for problems even when life is stable. They anticipate drama. They predict failure. They mistrust peace, because to their brain, peace feels unfamiliar while stress feels normal. This is why you see hyper-productive people who feel empty the moment they stop working, or people in relationships who panic when everything is going well, or students who feel anxious when they don't have something to stress about. The brain has learned that constant problems equal safety. But here's the empowering part. Even though your brain is wired this way, it can be rewired. The survival brain may love problems, but the modern brain can learn to love solutions. First step is awareness. Recognizing when your mind is slipping into survival mode, even though the danger is imaginary. When you notice your brain spiraling, pause. Remind yourself that the threat you're experiencing is emotional, not physical. Tell your brain, I'm safe. It sounds too simple, but biologically, it calms the amygdala and brings control back to the rational mind. The second step is to deliberately create moments of safety. Slow breathing, grounding your senses, or shifting your attention from what's wrong to what's stable right now signals to the brain that the world isn't dangerous. Over time, this weakens the brain's need to manufacture problems. Your brain learns that relaxation doesn't mean vulnerability. It means recovery. And finally, practice solution-focused thinking. When a challenge appears, instead of letting the threat detector run wild, gently redirect it by asking solution-oriented questions. What can I control right now? What's the next step? Is this a real threat or just my brain's pattern? These questions activate the prefrontal cortex and slowly teach the brain that solutions are safe, achievable, and worth focusing on. In the end, the truth is simple. Your brain doesn't hate you. It's trying to protect you using rules from a world that no longer exists. You're not broken for overthinking. You're not weak for worrying. You're simply human. You inherited a survival machine that is still learning how to live in the modern world. When you understand this, you stop fighting your mind and start training it. You realize your thoughts aren't enemies. They're old instincts trying to keep you alive. And once you consciously shift your focus from danger to direction, from fear to clarity, from problem hunting to problem solving, life becomes calmer, clearer, and lighter. You don't remove the brain's love for problems. You simply teach it a new love, solutions, peace, and stability. And that shift can change everything.